The People's Temple. A seeming paradise outside of the world we know. Outside of the rat race and trying to get the money and trying to have the biggest car. This was a social commune led by the charismatic pastor named Jim Jones. Today, let's look how we see how this seemingly utopian place turned into what is now considered the worst mass suicide of all time. You're listening to the Raspy Apple Podcast. So, let's get into the backstory of Jim Jones, because that's very interesting to tell how we got to the end point.
Like our serial killer series.
Exactly. Check out In the Mind series. Yeah. Shameless plug, but I'm here for it. So, Jim Jones. When was he born?
He was born May 1931, I believe. Yeah, 1931 in Lynn, Indiana.
Yeah.
Indiana, yeah.
Which, even in the 1930s, was a pretty traditional town. You know, you had your mother, your father. You know, you had the rich and the poor, the have and the have-nots, and you had the church.
Like, we're going back a few years.
Exactly. You know, this is like, before World War II.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? So
he lived it.
And this is just after the Great Depression, so, like, that effect hasn't been gone completely yet.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
So we have Jim Jones coming from a poorer family, right? And, you know...
A religious one.
But still a very poor one, so he's kind of outcasted in that sense, right?
Yeah.
We always hear these stories in America, you know, whether it's the tracks, the have and the have-nots. That kind of thing is very important because... in a place such as Indiana where there's not, say, you know, other struggles, you know, the way people differentiate themselves is social class, right? We're the rich, you're the poor.
Exactly.
We're on top, you're on bottom. Sometimes it's just the bad nature of man to do that, right?
You can see the divide.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Jim Jones being a part of that seemed to be an outcast from the beginning. And it didn't help that his kind of mindset wasn't the greatest. Like, didn't he kill a cat with a knife?
Yeah, he did, He did.
And, like, they always say people who kill animals when they're kids turn out to be a bit...
Well, a serial killer.
Yeah, like...
if we're talking about, like, our other, like, past videos. But
exactly.
In this case, no.
But, like...
not well.
It wasn't a good sign, right? You know, and it said even at a young age he was deeply obsessed with religion. Not even that he was religious. He was deeply obsessed with it. Like, that's a different thing, right? Like, that's a totally different thing.
Kind of manipulated some things out of religion and then took his own kind of thoughts and mentality into the stuff that he believed in, you know.
And, you know, not the best relationship with his father, which, you know, always seems to be
it's never a good sign.
Never a good sign. So he found that fellowship with the church.
Why is it so hard to not even keep a good relationship with a father when you're a son, but I don't know, there's just, like, tension.
Yeah.
In most.
Yeah.
Maybe not most cases, but, like, for me, like, you know, I know people that, you know, don't talk to their father.
Exactly.
You know,
it's common.
It is common.
Well,
even I think to this day and age,
I think it has a bunch to do with gender, right? If you're a man, right, you're gonna have a better relationship with your mother. If you're a daughter, you're gonna have a better relationship with your father.
Yeah.
I think that's probably just how it's because opposites attract, right?
Exactly.
You know, even though you're his son, you're still both men. There's always going to be a competition, a bit of rivalry, you know, trying to outdo who's stronger.
Who's more masculine.
Exactly, you know. Look what I do, you know.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be that sense. Now, why is it so much? I mean, that's probably to do with, you know, we don't have the best values now anymore, right? Like, it's like, you don't always see people saying, like, you know, taking responsibility for their actions or anything. So when you live in that kind of atmosphere, right, it's hard to even build relationships with your parents anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
But even back in the day, traditionally, like, the father...
yeah, was very cold, was very distant.
Even homophobic.
Yeah.
You know? It lives on to this day, but, like, back then, it was more, you know, in society.
Yeah, exactly. Well, people had values that they thought were right and wrong, right?
Yeah, and religion was more powerful back then as well.
Exactly.
Had a hold over people.
Exactly. And the thing with that is, he found kind of refugee in the church, right? Where he didn't get that fathership from his father, so he went to the church and got it from the pastor, right?
Yeah.
And this is where he kind of saw, wow, the pastor has kind of control over his congregation.
Yeah, exactly.
The pastor has almost nigh omnipotence, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Jim Jones was on that road to kind of go down that kind of pseudo-missionary route, right? Because he saw that kind of power it had over people. But another very interesting thing about Jim Jones, and this probably came from him having that kind of outcast demeanor as well, he was very much for the racial equality movement that was happening then.
Yeah,
right?
I did agree with that. Definitely.
Of course. It was a changing time. And what happened was, when he tried to befriend some black guy in his neighborhood. I think he said the only black guy in his neighborhood. He tried to bring him home, probably have dinner or something, just probably be a friend. The dad said, no, you can't come in here. And I think Jim Jones literally said, if he can't come in here, I won't either. And the father was like, good, I'll see you later.
Nah.
Right? Which is scum move.
Yeah, definitely.
But, so Jim Jones left home and basically
moved to California, was it?
Moved to California, yeah. And we see this is when he kind of gets into his, what we know as the People's Temple.
Yeah.
Right? This is when he starts preaching his own brand of Christianity.
Yeah.
Right? And it's very interesting to see. He starts up as a seemingly good-willed pastor, right?
Yeah.
Trying to achieve kind of a racial integration in the church.
An attractive church.
Yeah.
You kind of seen more... Before the tours, more people did go in to the church. And he got more members.
Exactly.
And it seemed like, life was good.
Exactly.
It was a fun place. Atmosphere was unreal.
Let's talk about the atmosphere for a second.
Sure.
Because I heard that it was basically a black church led by a white pastor.
Exactly.
Which is very interesting in that type of dynamic because...
Members believed that he wasn't white.
Yeah.
They said he was black.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, not even that. They just didn't see him as white or black. He was just their pastor.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
Which is a good ideal to have, right? We
Yeah.
shouldn't judge people on, the color of their skin. But at the same time, it just shows how charismatic he was. Right? Like, there's this whole stereotype that, black church is very outgoing, lively, jubilant, right? Very vibrant. And then, especially in the Roman Catholic Church and in other, say, more traditionally white Protestant churches,
it's not as
it's more
energetic.
Subdued. It's more calm.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
But he kind of brought that life that maybe a lot of white participants were looking for.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's why it was so like diverse in many ways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even his adopted family, like he adopted a black son.
Exactly.
2 Asian children.
Jim Jones.
Jim Jones Jr.
Jr.
Right?
Yeah.
His namesake. Right? A black son, which is great. It was a real blended, and it kind of looked like he was going on the right path.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if you're on the outside looking in, you're thinking, wow,
Great movement.
We're having equality. Real equality. None of this fake stuff. Like people are being treated like humans.
No actual things to show.
Exactly. Like he looked like he really meant what he said, which is fair.
Yeah, he did.
Right?
He did. He was very passionate about what he did.
But then we kind of get to this underbelly, which is not too uncommon when things kind of seem too good to be true.
Can we just say before, music was great.
Was excellent. The music was excellent.
I would have joined that church just for the music, just for that.
Like
just for that.
The Holy Ghost was in there somehow.
That
music was insane.
Yeah, it was great.
Like, I don't know if it was the right Holy Ghost, but it was a Holy Ghost, all right. Like,
back to what you were saying. Sorry.
No. But like, we see him kind of go on this cross-country journey to recruit more members.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very interesting. Do you know what his kind of catchphrase was when he on the back of the bus?
Oh, yeah. There was a sign.
Yeah.
It was something to do with brothers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Brotherhood is my religion.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, how catchy is that?
Yeah, that is good.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Imagine you're feeling kind of lost in life.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. But he rented these 7 big buses, and
he had a room on one of them.
Yeah, his own room. That's called foreshadowing, guys. We'll get back to that later.
Yeah.
Right? But, no, he stayed in that room, he went on the buses, and he basically went on a cross-country evangelizing recruitment stint, right? He went to schools, he went to hospitals, he went to nursing homes, he went to the homeless, right?
Yeah.
Basically, he started with 81 members, ended with thousands.
Yeah.
Right? And
I think the sum of all the members, even the ones that were kind of like passive members,
they weren't in it, but they were part of it.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it came to about 20,000.
I think so.
Now that's crazy.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of people, and like, that's a lot of people who are putting their trust in you to lead them, and basically saying, you're the kind of Lord of our lives now, right?
Yeah.
Because he moved to California because he thought it was going to be this kind of progressive paradise, right? And this is where we kind of see a shift from like the traditional Christian values to kind of now a social commune. I think didn't he describe himself as like a divine socialist?
Yeah.
Definitely. Explain that. What does he mean by that?
I think what he means by that is that it was some sort of like communism. Like there was no rich, there was no poor.
Facts.
It was more in the head than in practice. In practice, it was terrible. We've seen this in Guyana, like where they moved. He would still tell them what to do.
Exactly.
I think there was like speakers everywhere, and his voice was played 24/7.
I think there was a sense of that.
There was some sort of leadership there where he didn't want that. It kind of,
See, the thing is with this kind of divine socialism thing is, he says there's no rich or no poor, but he's kind of controlling everything. So like, there's no rich or no poor for everyone else.
Yeah.
But he has everything, right?
Life's good for him.
Life's good for him. Yeah. Like
people didn't sleep. He didn't believe in sleep.
When he moved, I think he moved to California because Redwood, right? Right. And there was a ranch, and like fair enough. Like if you stayed there, you got medical help, you got beds, you got friendship, but you had to work like crazy, 20 hours a day.
Yeah.
And was it with this woman? She said she didn't sleep for like 6 days.
Yeah, I believe she was just picking plants.
Yeah,
like just doing work.
Could you not sleep for 6 days? I don't think I could.
I don't think I wouldn't want to first, but I don't think I would be able to.
Yeah, I don't even think I'd be able to. Yeah,
bro, like he's in your ear 24/7.
Exactly. Like he has such power.
Even
in
if
your
you
mind.
tried to sleep, I believe some people got 20 minutes sleep.
And they were bragging about this, right? They were like, "How many hours of sleep do you get?"
20.
And then they were like, 20. I got 10.
Yeah.
Like they were bragging about this.
It's weird. We'll get onto that anyway.
But in this commune in California, right? This is kind of like setting the seeds for what you kind of see in the future.
Yeah.
Right? Like
we're talking about 60s. 60s was fine.
Yeah.
When we get into the 70s,
that's
where kind of
exactly. So we get into the 70s and we see a real shift with Jim Jones. We see a shift from him being a preacher or a pastor to now wanting to transition into a kind of savior, kind of semi-divine person, right? He starts these healings, right? He takes people up on stage in wheelchairs. Maybe they have cancer. Maybe they're blind or something.
In a wheelchair maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And let's take the example of the wheelchair. He had this woman who couldn't walk. He basically just turns around and says, "You're going to walk today."
Yeah.
And she gets up and starts running.
You walk in and then gradually starts to run.
Exactly.
Insane. And people are running up and down aisles with excitement.
Like, people are thinking this is like the second coming.
Yeah.
Like he's healing someone. He must, be divine in some way.
Yeah, some sort of a messiah.
Exactly. Right? And I have a theory about this as well.
Okay.
Because we found out that the wheelchair healings were fake. She could always walk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The cancer ones, I have a theory about this. Tell me what you think about this, right? The people who came to People's Temple got their doctors from People's Temple, right?
Okay.
So that means that all the diagnosis for illness or cancer
was
come
already
from the People's Temple. So that means the doctor, who was obviously listening to Jim Jones, could tell a member they had cancer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, I believe it.
Yeah.
I don't believe that woman could not walk.
And then Jim Jones says, "I healed you of your cancer." The next time they go to the doctor, wow, you're cured. It was Jim Jones' manipulation all along.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Crazy.
So we kind of so like we're in the 70s. He's doing these fake healings. He's pressuring people to sell their homes. What do you think about that?
Selling homes.
Yeah, remember he gets
Yeah. Now that's something I would not do. Like he wanted them to just give up their lives, devote them to him, and he'd not give them the income, but give them
a lifestyle,
a life of paradise, some sort of utopia. You get me? Yeah.
Friendship, looking after, fellowship.
Exactly. Yeah.
He did build really good nursing homes with the money, but still, like, how much of that was actually going into his pocket as well?
Oh, he was minted.
Exactly.
He was absolutely minted.
Right.
It doesn't make sense that like I get like some countries you have the boss and people work for the boss, but like this man just I don't even think he would like. I don't know, collects, like the
tithe,
crops and all that, you know. Yeah, he just
seemed like he was the kingpin.
Yeah,
and he was ordinary.
Exactly. Yeah. All his runarounds, you know.
And before we kind of get into like the real underbelly of it, the last thing I want to say about the religious sense of it is he kind of threw away the Christian gospel.
Yeah. Spit on that.
Like, didn't he, one day, he was preaching.
Yeah.
He takes the Bible, throws it across the room, lands on the ground. I mean, everyone's silent. They can't believe he just did this. And he says, "Look, I didn't get struck by lightning, right? What did that book ever do for you? It kept you oppressed for 200 years. Probably talking to the black ones, most likely.
The black community, yeah.
And says, here, look, there's no heaven up there.
Let's make heaven down here.
And that we'll see that comes back to bite him back.
Exactly,
because, remember, guys, he says there's no heaven up there, right?
Yeah.
There's heaven down here, so we have to make it. So we see now a shift from the religious to the activist, right?
Yeah.
They start protesting. They start going on these, in the 60s and 70s, it was a big, time for change, right?
Let me just put on something really quick. There was this one time where obviously he was holding some sort of a kind of like, what would you call it? Not a mass. Is it a mass?
Like a service.
A service. Lovely word. And he got members of his community, or sorry, his cult.
Yeah,
temple.
honestly,
to drink this Kool-Aid.
Okay.
And they drank it. Mm-hmm. He got on the mic and said, "That was poison you just drank."
He said that?
Mm-hmm. Wow. And then everybody starts, like, some people freak out, some people are like hugging each other, some people, which was kind of weird.
Yeah, it's
you're
like,
not meant to hug each other back then.
Yeah.
No, in that cult.
Yeah, I know.
You weren't meant to even talk to anybody.
Exactly.
Some people just stayed silent. And then he just comes on the mic again, he's like, "It actually wasn't poison. I just want to see he was loyal to me."
Wow.
And like,
it was a test of faith, literally.
Basically, yeah. It's crazy.
He's a manipulator, isn't he?
Definitely, yeah.
And he did this publicly too. Like, he would used to get people up on stage, beat them for some sort of disobedience, which is so arbitrary because it's whatever he thinks at the time.
Yeah.
Right? Beat them and shame them into staying. Right? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So we see that although it might have started out as a good cause, now we're
brilliant cause.
Brilliant, right?
Definitely. Like, I just, so many things that could have been such a great direction.
Exactly.
Just turned, like, the devil just came into play.
The devil just came into play because look, as soon as he started going against the gospel, right? Now we see, well, he's trying to replace Christianity with himself.
Exactly.
Like, this always stuck in me. He said, "If you want me to be your friend, I'll be your friend.
Bars.
If you want to be your father, I'll be your father.
Yeah.
If you want to be your savior, I'll be your savior.
If you want me to be your God,
I'll be your God."
Thank you.
You're welcome. Because it's just like,
damn. That's
replacing the Bible and the gospel with yourself. And now you have complete control. Now you can do whatever you want to do, right?
And with the loyalty factor coming into play with the Kool-Aid.
No one was snitching. No one was leaving.
No.
Because they were scared.
They definitely were. They only seeked for help in him. Not even for help though, but just for like some sort of
assurance.
Security, assurance, closure. Exactly, yeah. And then again, like, they sold their house.
Exactly.
And then we move on to Guyana, I believe.
Well, before we move to Guyana, let me just talk about the political power he had. Because that's really suspect.
I don't know if I know much on this.
Well, I did a bit of research on this, so tell me what you think about this, right?
Okay.
He would always say that the government was the enemy of the People's Temple, right? Say they're coming for them, they want, get away from us, the KKK. He used to, I'm not saying none of these people aren't out to get them, I'm saying he made it worse than it was completely. But then we see a hypocritical shift, right?
Okay.
He uses the People's Temple to get governments elected, to get mayors elected. And then the mayors he gets elected puts them onto housing boards in the county, right?
Okay.
So, on the one hand, he's telling people in his cult that the government's your enemy. Well, on the other hand, he's taking pictures with politicians. He's taking pictures.
He's getting them votes.
With vice presidents. He's getting the votes. And the crazy thing is, he's profiting off this, right?
Definitely, yeah.
And the reason I want to maybe make a bigger point is this just shows how much of a hypocrite he is. Like, he would instruct his cult to have no, physical or sexual contact, where I think, we know this. He was going to people, specifically men, out of nowhere saying, "Hey, let's have gay sex," right?
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's...
Even heterosexual men.
Even heterosexual men he was going up to doing this, right?
Yeah.
Which is... And out of the blue, he's a preacher.
Was there anything in his childhood that would lead to that? Like, was there anything... Was he effeminate in any way?
I don't think so, but I have heard that when you have issues with one parent, you look for people to fill that need, right? So that's why you see serial killers usually have a bad relationship with their mother. Okay. And then they go after female victims to kind of fit that mold, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that was the case. He wasn't getting that affection.
Vice versa with the father.
Exactly. Yeah. But instead of being a serial killer, he was just doing it in sexual, right?
Facts.
Which makes psychological sense to me, right? John Wayne Gacy, bad relationship with his father. Who did he go after? Young boys. Yeah. Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
So
Gary Ridgway.
Yeah. Bad relationship with his mother. Went up to girls. I mean, check out the In the Mind series, okay?
Again,
shameless plug, shameless, but I'm here for it. But not only was he a hypocrite in the kind of doctrine he preached to his People's Temple cult, not only was he a hypocrite in the government sense, but he was a hypocrite even as far as saying that he would take care of the People's Temple. Because he wasn't. He was abusing them emotionally, physically, and mentally.
Definitely mentally.
Right?
Physically, yeah.
He was beating them, right? He was beating them publicly.
Yeah.
So, like, let me ask you one question.
Please do.
Okay?
Please do.
If you were on the People's Temple, right? Say a high-ranking member, like maybe the committee's a bit higher.
Can you give me a time frame?
Height of it. I mean the height of it.
The height of it.
Like, I mean...
before the downfall.
No. I mean, like, during, like, when he was saying, like, he's God and all that stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Right? But
70s.
Before going completely insane, like, probably before Guyana a little bit.
Right.
But after, like, you know, the regular.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Would you have left?
I definitely would have considered it. But then again, everybody's afraid.
If you had a way out, would you have left?
Yeah, probably. Like, the music was great, but it's just the atmosphere, like, you'd lose some sort of, like, personality, I suppose.
And don't cults usually do this, though? Like, they try to make everyone into the group instead of the individual. And we see manipulators do this.
That's what they aim for at first.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
They cut you off from your family. They cut you off from your needs. They cut you off from your personality.
Income.
Everything. Social support groups.
Yeah.
Right? So we see, like, when you try to break down the person, the identity of the individual into a group, it never ends well. Right?
Yeah.
You know, you really have to be careful with that.
Yeah.
You know? If you become a People's Temple cult member before, you know, Jenny, right? Just as an example, then you've lost. You should be Jenny, the People's Cult Temple member, if you're going to even be in a cult. Keep that individuality. But, you know, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, and everybody would just sit there, you know, with a zipper, you know, over their lips.
Exactly.
Saying nothing. You want to leave, you couldn't even tell. Just say your family was in the cult. You couldn't tell your family.
It was like
they would rat on you.
It was like the Russian KGB, right?
Yeah.
People were scared of their own wives. People were scared of their own husbands, thinking they're going to rat on them.
Yeah, snitch. Like, it's just... Like, all your trust is in one person when it should be with a whole lot more
Your
people.
social circle.
There you go. There you go.
Like...
Nail on the coffin.
And the crazy thing, especially with Jonestown in the American sense, right? There was people outside Jonestown protesting. There was people who were ex-members going to the media, right? And they were saying, guys, listen, this isn't all sunshine and rainbows. And as they were doing this, he was going on TV. And civil rights leaders were saying, this is the church I want to join. You're the best church in the world.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that. Imagine how you can be so different to the outside world, but on the inside, like, I know it's a different time. We didn't have social media. We didn't have anything, really. But it's like, even in the way he operated as kind of the God King of the cult, like, he would tell women to take off their clothes. For pure humiliation.
Yeah, wasn't he on that tour bus and he turned to one woman behind him because obviously he was sitting... I think he was beside her near...
I think he sat beside her, didn't he?
Yeah. And he said, like, when this bus stops, come to the back.
Yeah.
Or else come to the back and wait for me.
Yeah.
You know?
And then he was like, do you know what you do to me?
Yeah. And he raped her.
Yeah. And she was young as well, like...
And I think she stayed in the cult.
Yeah, I think so. Because she's powerless.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
Like, she's a victim of manipulation.
And she couldn't tell anybody, obviously. Because the snitch.
And the sad thing is, he probably brainwashed her so much that she probably wasn't gonna be, like, mad at him. Right?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, she was probably like, oh my gosh, this is great. This is the leader. You know? Like, obviously when you get older, you look back, it's like, wow. Like, I can't believe that. Like,
I was brainwashed.
Exactly.
Propaganda.
But when you're in it,
you know,
sometimes you can't even see it. You know? My thing with this is, he seemed to be attracted to men. But I think the sexual assault on the women was more of a power thing, right?
Yeah, probably.
Like
assert dominance.
I can pick any out one of you, right? Even if you're married, even if you're a child, I have power, right?
Yeah, and you'll do it.
And you'll do it because, you know,
I'm Jim Jones.
Yeah, I'm the People's Temple leader.
Yeah,
right. I am the People's Temple.
You should be lucky if you're doing this with me.
Exactly. Like, this is I'm doing this for you.
You should feel better than the rest.
Like, this is a gift.
Yeah.
Right. And like, whether it be governments or, you know, leaders, it always seems that they have a current trend to, when they're basically screwing you over, act like they're doing you a favor, right? Which is really disingenuous. So, we're getting to the end of the People's Temple in America, right? But before we get on to Guyana, do you have any questions for me?
I do. Happy to ask. Now, I don't know if I wanted to ask this question right now, but I'll ask it anyway, because I think it's appropriate for this time that we're in the story of Jim Jones. Do you think Jim Jones had a plan, or a vision, or both?
Wow.
Thoughts and
That's a very
opinions,
good question.
please.
If you would have asked me about Jim Jones circa 1950, 1960, yes. right?
Vision.
Right, like
you're saying
like,
vision.
I'm saying vision. Like he would have been like, I'm gonna build this equally interracial church. We're gonna have a social commune that's gonna take care of everyone.
Okay. I like your take on this.
Even
I'm torn.
Right? Even if I didn't agree with like the social divine aspect of it, right? I can see what you're doing. And if people are willing and joining you of free will and you're not abusing them, okay.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now, I think he deteriorated significantly when he started getting two things done to him. Pushback from the media and then pushback from his supporters. Right? Because when that happened, he just had to change his headcanon. So what happened was, listen, he was listening to the Bible, Christian values. Now he had to throw that out to change the values so he could become king. And now, guess what? People are, even when he's king, people are going against him. Well, now he has to move country, right? Because now he needs to isolate them even more.
Facts.
Right? And now he's in the country. Now America's coming to him. We'll get onto that later. Foreshadowing again. But even he can't still control this.
You just see a shift.
Exactly. Right? So
different. If you compare Jim Jones to like Guyana and Jim Jones to
Indiana.
Well, not even Indiana.
Bars.
It's just California. The start of California when he was like, okay,
like the social commune.
Level-headed. You know what I mean?
Totally different people.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
And maybe back then you weren't diagnosed with bipolar or like But obviously, I think this was
I
a gradual
think he was
thing.
on drugs, personally.
Definitely.
Like, I think he was sniffing coke and LSD and everything.
There was members that did all that
Yeah.
and went to People's Temple and obviously stopped it.
But it just seems like he would be the hypocrite to make them stop drugs, right? But then
He was a hypocrite.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with you. He definitely did take drugs.
He's like, guys, you can't do drugs while he's sniffing a line of coke in the back.
He's like, you can't do drugs.
Sorry, nosebleed.
Yeah.
Like, anyone bit of chili in here? Like, sniffle, hay fever,
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think? Do you think you had that vision? Or did I convince you?
Every time I think of this question, I'm just so torn. I'm like, he did have a plan.
What if he was gonna kill them from the very start? What if he thought, I'm gonna take these guys into the forest and kill
let's
them?
just think of the timing.
Okay.
Just before, I think it was like just as he was getting like crazy, he did trick them with the Kool-Aid.
You mean the first Kool-Aid incident? Yeah.
So now, was that a plan from the get-go?
Like, because that's very weird. That's his MO. Like,
it's a coincidence because that's how they died.
That's not a coincidence.
Spoiler if you haven't ever seen a documentary or
Yeah.
know about Jim Jones. But I'm just so torn.
That's insane.
And then a vision, because I mean, great movement,
Great songs. Again,
great songs.
Guys, listen to the songs.
Jim Jones, young,
Good messages.
great messages.
Yeah.
Had the voice. You knew how to speak and work the microphone.
Exactly.
Knew how to gain people's attention.
Charismatic.
Yeah. Like,
Right?
just say this man was doing a presentation. Everybody would be watching him.
Silent. Pin drop.
Another question I have,
Okay.
and it's not even written on my phone. I just have it in my head. It's so hard to answer, and you're gonna think for a while. But Jim Jones and the People's Temple right now.
Right now, do they still exist?
No.
Are you saying hypothetically if they were still alive?
Hypothetically, if this movement was like now or in the progress.
Okay.
What way do you think it would have planned out? Do you think it would have stopped
Can
before
I be
it
honest
got?
with you? I think it is in the progress. It's just a different name.
Really?
I think we have the same things as Jim Jones was doing right now.
Could you name one? No, I'm putting you on the spot now, but could you?
Okay, I don't know.
Even the country.
Okay, like say like this kind of radical intersectionality you see in America.
Okay.
Right? Where they're kind of breaking you down like you're not the individual, you're in a racial group. You're not the individual, you're in a sexual group, right?
Okay.
It just seems to me, right? Like say like okay, take
Are you taking actual like movements or
I'm taking a movement, right? Like say take
not BLM or anything like that.
No, but like say the Mother God cult, right?
Okay.
In South Korea.
Okay.
Right? Like they make you kind of give away your name, dress in all the same clothes, right? And then and even the Westboro Baptist Church in America.
Okay.
They're kind of the same thing, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Now the leaders aren't as persuasive at all, right? But there's still remnants of him, right? Like we see that, like say in the radical movements in America, right? You see that kind of push for. At first, it was just racial equality, fair, but now it's gone to like if you don't agree with us, now we're gonna kill you, right? It's gone from okay, we're just a religious group to now we're so totally in the deep end, right? That if you don't join us, you're all going to hell, kind of thing.
Okay.
right? And like all religions believe that, but at the same time, they're not gonna kill you for it,
Yeah.
right? Like once you start with violence, like Jim Jones did, you know, beating people, you know, that kind of thing.
Now, would he beat people?
Yeah,
Or
he beat members publicly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like
Yeah.
slap them and all that.
Beat them with paddles and everything, leave them
Okay.
with whelps and everything.
Bro, to be honest, I've never heard of that. Maybe during the documentary I must have zoned out, but I never heard of that.
This one woman, she got beat so bad she couldn't sit down.
Oh,
So every time she would sit down, it would hurt so much. A coworker, because she worked outside the People's Temple, actually. A coworker that saw that said, "Are you okay? What's happening?" She breaks down crying, explains what's happening at the temple.
Maybe I did hear that story.
And then what's happened? Her husband and son were in the cult. She couldn't leave.
Yeah. I know the woman that you're talking about.
Remember, and another one. They made a woman get naked in front of
Yeah,
everybody.
they did.
Talking about her anatomy and everything.
And like you can just see the embarrassment on her face.
Like that's even worse than getting beaten because like
Yeah.
like those don't heal. Like
No.
those don't heal. Right? Like we're not talking about someone being offended online. Like you're literally getting shamed naked in front of everybody.
Was she shamed or was she just standing there?
She was shamed for because they were all like, "Oh yeah, I look better than you" or something. Then it was like because they were vying for his attention.
Yeah.
You know?
It just got so out of hand. We'll move on to Guyana now.
Guyana is an interesting story. So Jim Jones was getting political kind of pressure, not from politics so much, but as the media, right?
On his head. His own head.
Yeah. Yeah. Like he was paranoid.
Definitely.
Like some say he even set his own church on fire to make people move to Guyana.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a fire in the church, and he said, and there's recordings of him saying, "This is what they did to us. We need to move to Guyana."
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm like,
A few people actually moved there earlier to prep it. And like roadworks were done.
the
Not proper roads, but like,
the native Guyanese were cutting down the trees and everything, and they were paying them, yeah.
And little like huts were built.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it was cleared. It was like
yeah, you could see it.
Yeah.
There's this clip, the helicopter flying over, and
Exactly.
people were like, "Oh, there it is." Or
and
a plane,
it was
I
a
don't
big
know.
plot of land as well. Like, looked good.
Definitely was,
right?
Yeah.
But articles were about to be written about him, saying that he was an abusive, he was, sexually raping them and everything. There was, people protesting out of his church.
Again, manipulates his people to
Yeah,
move
exactly.
to Guyana.
Well, he was on a call with the editor of the newspaper, and he was like, "If you print that story, you're not gonna, like what we're gonna do." And she's like, "I'm printing it. You don't scare me." And he was all like there was two people, like some of his most trusted people. He mouths to them, "We're leaving now." He gets everybody. I mean, like in a day. Right?
Leave their house. Even people that didn't leave their house
Yeah.
have left it now.
Yeah. Like they were bringing people over, and he gets him to Guyana. He gets him to Jonestown.
Wasn't there this one woman that took her 7 kids and left her husband or something?
Yeah. She had 7 kids.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if she went with them first, but like the whole family moved, right?
Yeah.
And like you saw it, and when you saw pictures of Jonestown at first, right? You thought, "Wow, this is paradise. This is like the best place
Weather
I've ever
is
been."
good.
It's in northern South America, touching on Central America, right?
Yeah.
Like you can see the Caribbean from Guyana.
Like it's near the equator. It's closer to the equator.
Exactly.
So it's
And,
obviously
like,
gonna be warmer.
Trinidad and Tobago are like a land bridge or a bridge away.
Yeah.
Right? You have great crops you can do, all sustainable. Right? You have quote unquote
Your own work.
your own
Your
family.
own hours.
Exactly.
Quotations. you
Right?
know.
And everybody is kind of like friends. Right? You have your own music, you have your own dance. It seems like paradise. Until you realize a few things. You mentioned this, right? And you can speak more on this. Let me ask you a question.
Please do.
He had speakers all around the commune.
Yeah.
Why do you think he did that?
Again, I just think it was so people just wouldn't turn off.
Like control?
Yeah, control. Just get the work done. But I don't even think there was work to be done. I just think he wanted people to be awake, to be just listening to what he's saying.
Basically tire them out so much that they don't even think.
Yeah, basically they don't even think of their own thoughts. They're just like,
Exactly.
"Oh, Jim Jones, People's Temple, doing this for my people, doing this for my community."
Remember when we spoke about the snitches a few minutes ago? It was so crazy because he used to have announcements saying, "I'm going to send a loyal member out there and tell them to tell you that they want to leave." Right? Like an undercover cop. Right? Say me, I was sent out, I talked to Jim Jones in the morning, and he said to me, "Hey, go out and tell someone you want to leave. Now, if they say, I want to leave too, report back to me and we'll take care of it.
Damn.
He used to do, like, you know what I mean?
Damn.
He used to send...
Was this occasional?
No, this was like every 3 weeks. Or like every like 3 times a week. You know what I mean? Like this was normal.
Yeah.
Right? And like, I don't know if he caught anyone with this method. I can't say he didn't. Right?
Yeah.
But like, just the
A
paranoia.
lot of people, though, it might have happened once or twice.
Yeah. And we just don't know about it. Because like, the paranoia is like, he was turning people against each other. Like, a son would rat on the father. A husband would rat on the wife.
A brother rats on a sister. You know?
Exactly.
And that's what you kind of think. Like, you're living with them. They're not your family, but they are. And you trust them. It's your brother, it's your sister.
You know what? They're more loyal to the People's Temple than they are to you. You're on flesh and blood.
But even then, the People's Temple is more like a in the mind ideology.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just
There's no physical change. There's mental change.
It's mental. It's just a brand.
It is. It really is.
You know, it's just
you just slap it on there and like anything becomes good.
Yeah.
You know.
It's whatever you want it to be.
It's whatever you want it to be.
It's weird.
But like this goes back to when you throw out the Bible, because when you have no rules, right, that you're following,
Your morals.
you can make up your own, and you can always change it.
Yeah.
Right, and you know,
Well, not that they're gone. They're not as in play.
they're not as important at all.
Yeah.
You know, you still have that underlying, of course, right?
Yeah.
You still have that phraseology, but the root of it, the heart of it's gone, right? It's just whatever Jim Jones wants,
Your conscience stays, and all,
right?
You know,
Exactly, and
telling you good or bad. Yeah.
you know, we can never say that the people at the People's Temple weren't well fed, weren't happy in a sense.
Yeah, we weren't there. You know.
Right?
We can't. You know.
But we can say that there were seeds of doubt, people not being able to see their family that hadn't come over, right? Mm-hmm. And this is
Homesick, maybe.
but they couldn't say they were homesick, right? Because then they'd be kind of ousted.
Yeah.
And this is where we get to the Americans' Congress kind of involvement.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, we had people talking to the American Congress, sending them letters, and what actually happened was there were some prisoners in Jim Jones's cult that weren't seen. So their families were really worried and saying, "Where is my family?" So they contacted this congressman who was very kind of progressive in the prison sense.
Yeah. And the media and all.
Yeah, exactly.
Back in.
Yeah, you know, LA, you know.
Yeah.
And basically said, I need you to find my family.
Congressman Ryan, was it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Good memory. And basically, he organized a visit to Jonestown to investigate. Now,
Cameraman. I think he had a woman?
sound engineer and an assistant.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Please do.
If you were the congressman or the congressman's team,
Okay.
would you have gone to Jimstown? Or would you have gone to Jonestown?
Jonestown. Maybe for the publicity, maybe for the kind of name it got, and just to tell people, look, it's actually this. But then when it turned out to be not this, and it got all, tits up, do I think he wanted to go Jonestown?
You think he was pressured? No, you think he was pressured?
I think he was pressured. Definitely think he was pressured. I think the whole Jonestown is a utopian concept, which sounded really good written down. It's all, make believe.
In theory.
In theory, but played out
In practice.
It is fucking terrible.
Because again, once you make everyone quote unquote neither rich nor poor, they're all reliant on you. So you can control them.
Yeah.
Right? That's what happens. Just, again, we go back to it, but like...
It's not even that. He had a lot of people.
Powerful people.
Yeah, but like he had a lot of people isolated. When you think about it, Jonestown is a dense forest.
Exactly.
It was just cut down.
You rely on him for food.
The locals.
You rely on him for everything.
It's like, even if you wanted to run...
Where do you go?
He might have... Now, we do find this
He
out.
did have guards.
But that's only when we find out about the Kool-Aid incident. But they could have been just in the forest.
Of course.
Bro, he could have had landmines. He could have.
Like,
where did the guns and... We'll get to it.
We'll get to it, but like, just realize, like, this wasn't just a preacher. He was dangerous, right? But, like, the congressman comes.
Yeah.
They grow this big reception. I mean, grand. Like, everybody's there. There's a feast. They're all dancing. And he's talking to people, and he's like, bro, this is great.
The music.
Yeah, and he was like, this is great. I'm sold. Like, everyone was talking about how bad this place was.
This is the thing that saddens me. You get to see a video of the night before when the congressman is there before the whole incident. Happy, chappy, all the good stuff.
Mingling.
Yeah, you actually saw people having a good time together, and it was kind of like,
it was lighthearted, wasn't it?
It was definitely for the congressman to report back.
And guess what? It was definitely like the first time they got to do that. You know, like this
Oh,
this was
100%.
definitely not happening on the basis. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this is where kind of things break down, and this is kind of sad in a sense, because we have people who are coming to the congressman and to the reporters and saying, "Listen, I want to tell you I want to get out, but if I tell you, in front of everybody else, I'll die." So what we see them do is get notes, right? Like you would. You write a little note, you pass it to someone. So
Surprised they had paper and pen.
I'm so surprised. Because like Jim Jones would have been like, "Why do you need to write?
Yeah.
I give you your words."
Exactly.
Like
what I'm saying to you is all that's important.
exactly.
You know.
Yeah. You guys don't even need to know how to read anymore. What for? You know. But
Anyway, go on.
he writes a little note. He puts it in the reporter's arm. It drops. And he's like,
"Sorry, you dropped the letter
Exactly.
or a note. Sorry."
Yeah, and then the reporter's like, "Oh, okay," probably taken aback a bit, but he knows what's going on. Like, he's not stupid. And guess what happens?
Yeah, no, I know what happens.
A little boy says, "He passed a note. He passed a note." What a brainwashed snitch!
Yeah.
Like, I know he's a kid. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But what a brainwashed snitch.
Yeah, like imagine growing up in that environment and being told to like not even snitch is right, but like report everything, every breath, every movement of some individuals. It's crazy. It's not good for a kid.
It's crazy because that's what you think is normal, right?
Yeah,
That,
exactly.
Like that ruins your development.
Even talking about Jim Jones' family, people with a dysfunctional family think it's a normal family.
And the crazy thing is, he's so dysfunctional, he wanted to make everyone around him dysfunctional to make them seem like, oh, it's normal,
Facts.
Yeah. If someone feels insecure about themselves, they'll try to push it on you, to make it seem like their truth is right. But we see this ending now because the congressman realizes people want to leave, and Jim Jones is salty. Jim Jones is so salty.
Oh, God, yeah.
Like, he's like, "If you want to leave, you can leave. I'm not stopping you."
Yeah, and he's like, "People lie, my friend." He's like, "People lie. I can't help what they say."
Why is he keeping his son here?
I don't control their movements.
Why is he keeping his son here?
I don't control their movements. When the congressman is there, maybe.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we see the congressman and the cameraman pan over to this woman and I think her son, and they want to leave. And then Jim is like, "Yeah, you're free to go." Then some more want to go, but obviously the plane's not big enough. And I believe there was this clip of this woman like, "Give me my baby back, give me my baby back."
What happened was that I think the dad went.
Okay.
And then took the son, and she was like, "Don't take my children away." And I'm like, "You took your children away. He's taking them back."
He's taking them back.
Like,
maybe it's not the same woman we talked about earlier.
It's the same thing though. Same principle.
Concept. Yeah.
Right. But like, Jim Jones is salty, and like he's telling people they can go, but it's kind of like when your girlfriend says do whatever you want. No, that doesn't mean
exactly.
That does not mean
that. That is
like do whatever you want. I don't care.
I like that. Yeah.
Yes, you do.
You spoke that well. Yeah.
I know you do. Right. But like, you think that Jim Jones, although he's salty, although he's probably not the brightest bulb, although he's probably not the most sane person, he'll let them go. Because at the same time, even though he wants to control them, he's not a murderer.
But he knows it's controlling, telling them to leave, but them knowing they can't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
That's where you get into the true mind of the members. That Jim was not only the friend, the pastor, the god,
but the master.
The absolute, like, he drove them to insanity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you're like, Jim Jones is all that. He's everything we've said, but
not God.
In your mind,
not God.
Not good. No. But like he thinks he is.
Yeah.
Like he thinks he's everything we said, right?
Yeah.
But in your mind, you're still thinking, okay, but he's just a loony preacher that tricked a bunch of people. Although he's emotionally and maybe beating them, he's not going to kill anyone. And I'm like, psych, how wrong you are.
Yeah.
Because not only does when he let the congressman people go, they turn their back. They think, I'm a congressman of the United States. I don't have anything to fear. Jim Jones with armed guards, guns in tow, just starts blasting.
Yeah, so Congressman Ryan leaves. Is it Ryan? I want to confirm that. Yeah, it is Ryan. We just confirmed it there. Yeah, what were we saying?
Well, we're saying he thinks he's safe. He's an American congressman. And then he turns to go to the plane. And what does he see? A shower of bullets.
Yeah, but what I was going to get onto. He leaves, but he leaves with a blood stain. I think he was attempted.
I forgot. Yeah, you're so right. One of the members says, "You're gonna die today, mother effer."
Yeah.
Stabs him. Now it's a shallow wound, right? Because he probably doesn't know how to use it.
Yeah.
But he stabs him. So Congress were like,
Wait, he did stab him?
He did stab him. There's blood in his shirt.
Yeah, I seen blood on the shirt, but maybe that's...
It was shallow.
Damn.
Because he probably didn't want to, like, kill him. But he says, But, so that's probably why he leaves. I forgot about that. But as he's leaving...
He gets to the plane. They see this truck with a... It's like, them, like, Texas trucks.
Yeah, like those four-wheelers, like the heavy Jeeps.
And they have the things on the back that people can sit in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people are hiding in that, unbeknownst to congressman, the cameraman...
The secretary.
Yeah. And they're just scouting, looking like they're looking for somebody.
Yeah.
And obviously a few members who wanted to leave left with them.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. I think they spot Congressman Ryan.
And then it just goes.
And then boom, these lads come up with
just
guns.
Showering bullets.
People hide behind the plane wheels.
They're laying down, playing dead.
Playing dead.
His secretary, I think, gets shot point blank
range. Yeah, correct.
And survives. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you're Trojan, because that's awesome.
I don't understand that.
I don't understand that at all. Like, I know,
anyway,
you've seen
God
Kill
bless.
Bill. God bless.
Yeah.
You know?
Sad news, though. Congressman Ryan...
Doesn't make it.
The cameraman does.
Sound engineer does.
We don't really know about the members. I presume most.
I presume they were shot.
Yeah. So yeah, then as soon as word has gotten back to Jonestown,
he goes insane. He says, "Do you think they're gonna let us get away with this? We can't stay here."
Yeah, that's the thing. He holds a meeting. Mm-hmm. Sounds on the microphone.
Meeting.
Yeah. Everybody to the pavilion, I think.
Pavilion, exactly. Yeah.
Everybody to the pavilion. They go there, and go on. You continue.
Basically, he says, "Guys, we're not getting away with this.
Mm-hmm.
We need to either kind of protect ourselves."
Yeah.
Does he even give them a choice?
No, he doesn't. No.
Doesn't even give them the choice?
Sorry. Yeah, I have to correct you. Yeah.
That correct me, because that's crazy. He doesn't even give them a choice?
Some woman argues
that's
back
what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Some woman argues back and forth with him.
So I was thinking,
What about Russia?
Russia, yeah, I was thinking, so he didn't even give them the choice. That was her.
That was her.
Okay, so the woman basically says, okay, is it too late to go to Russia? Mm-hmm. Because long story short, he says, they're not going to let us get away with this. We need to either... I'm still saying either. Basically, he just says, we need to kill ourselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Not in that way, but he says it along the lines
exactly.
of, we need to make... I think it's heaven on earth again.
No. This is what he does, right? He says, we need to die with dignity because we're just stepping over. We're just stepping over to another
plane. Facts.
And what did we say before? Facts. He said, when he threw the Bible across the room, that there was no heaven.
Exactly.
So, he's just making this up at this point.
He said plane.
Okay, you got me there. He did say plane.
Yeah. No, I do still think he's a hypocrite, though.
But
Yeah. But, it was other things he did.
He's stepping over to a plane, right? Mm. But, the woman, and she sounds black, right? She's like, what about Russia?
Yeah.
Right? Why can't we go there? And he's like, don't you think I've tried to go to Russia? He didn't try.
Why Russia? Was that because the Soviets and the Americans would hate?
Yeah, exactly. So, they killed the American government. They'd probably be welcomed with open arms in Soviet Russia. Russia would have been like, very good. I'm impressed.
Really?
I wish I could have done the same thing.
And they would have protected them.
Probably. Right? Because they probably use them as props. Look, the Americans don't even like themselves. That's just a theory. That's just a theory.
No, it's interesting to talk about and touch on,
Right? But I don't think... You know what? I also have another theory. Russia could have just been a pipe dream. He could have just said that to make them feel safe.
Yeah, probably just to fill the gaps in his Bible. His brain.
His headcanon.
Yeah.
Right? But okay. We know he has them wrapped around his little finger.
Mm.
So what does he do with that? He forces them to drink Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
In the Kool-Aid is...
cyanide.
Copious amounts of cyanide.
Mm-hmm.
It gives it this bitter taste.
And he says, is there any way that we can make this sweeter? And one of his members goes...
We have Kool-Aid in the back?
No, but that's even with the Kool-Aid in it.
That's even with the Kool-Aid in it?
Yes.
Wow. That's insane. So he basically forces everyone to take this Kool-Aid with cyanide. Mm-hmm. And what happens? What does this do?
So basically... The cyanide makes people foam at the mouth. Obviously, it's poison.
Okay.
They're drinking it. Body can't handle it. They die. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Maybe
was it quick?
It's something deeper. Yeah, it's quick.
Wow.
It's quick.
Was it painful?
I'd say it burned.
Yeah, that's
your esophagus is gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People start looking around. Boom. Guards on the outskirts of the whole place.
People are trying to escape, and people with guns are basically saying no.
Yeah. Now, one guy queries, where the fuck did they get them guns?
Because
you wouldn't even think it. Like Jim Jones had like an army.
I swear, because
of people.
political power.
And I'd say the people that killed the congressman drove back
And took the cyanide.
Yeah,
Well, probably did it and then took the cyanide. Yeah.
So,
But a few of them did escape into the jungle, though.
they did, yeah. Happily. There was one man who the kids went first, basically.
His kids?
No,
Some kids.
every kid. Went
because they were
first.
weaker.
Yeah. Could drink the cyanide. Some others were crying. Jim Jones was on the mic like, "Please, mother, don't let this happen. Don't just let it be." You know what I mean? Yeah, the kids take it. One guy this kid runs up to him, and he's like holding him. Then boom, kid dies in his arms. Now, this guy, it's tragic what happened to this man. After the kid, the elderly and the adults started taking the cyanide.
He even killed people's grandmothers, though.
His brother, sister, I think his wife, maybe.
They all died?
Yeah, his granny died in his arms after the kid died in his arms. And that kid was anonymous.
That must break you.
Yeah, and at that point, I'd be saying, give me that Kool-Aid.
Because that's crazy.
Because just imagine...
Because you have nothing else to live for.
Exactly. I'm not saying, it's right, but, you'd definitely be in that...
You can understand it.
Exactly, yeah. And, yeah, one guy, his wife died, his kid died, they died in his arms as well.
Oh my god, so he's just broken.
And, he was the one that confirmed that cyanide makes you froth at the mouth.
Right.
So...
And he says he'll never call it a mass suicide. He says it was a murder. He said they were killed.
It was fucking atrocious.
It really was.
Even if we might show them a picture of the event, but it's just a mass grave.
Isn't it 909 people took the cyanide Kool-Aid?
It's crazy. To the people that escaped as well, fair play.
Fair play, because I would have been too scared.
Yeah, but then it kind of gets quiet. People start drinking. The members start drinking. Now, my question to you is, do you think Jim was made drank, the cyanide, or do you think he was shot?
Well, it says he died from a shot in the head.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, do you think he shot himself, or somebody did it?
Do you think he killed himself? I would say yes. The reason I would say yes is because I think that he was in the state of mind where he could have taken his own life and seen it as justified because everyone else was doing it, right? I think he didn't see a way out. He didn't see a way out, and then boom, bullet to the head by himself. Do you think what is your theory? Do you think someone else killed him?
I think he got shot. I think there's a movie of this, and he gets shot.
Oh wow!
At the end, I did see it. I don't know if it's a movie or somebody made a clip.
Do you think someone shot him out of revenge? Why did you do this? Because that'd be cool.
Maybe. Because okay, in the scene that I saw, it looked like he was just sitting in his chair, and it looked like from far away somebody just went to the head.
Wow.
And he was just like that.
But it could have been his arm though.
It could have been his arm.
But it might have not been.
It's a strange one.
I mean, I would but a part of me thinks that he would never kill himself. A part of me thinks that he would make everyone kill himself, and then just come out oh look, it wasn't my fault. They did it by themselves.
Yeah.
But again, maybe
he couldn't walk away from that.
No, not at all.
And he wouldn't have got away with it.
No.
So either way, if he had taken his own life or got shot,
same result.
Same result.
Yeah, exactly. So I think only 80 people. Didn't 80 people only survive?
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Damn.
I think there was 70 or 80 people who weren't at the commune.
Bro, nah.
We're talking about devout members. There was a bunch. There was thousands of members that kind of left or wasn't ever gonna go to Jonestown. But I mean devout inner circle, right? Only 80 of those survived. Right?
Yeah.
Including his son Jim Jones Jr.
Yes, and his son was actually taken away at that time. He wasn't there at the pavilion.
Didn't he say he doesn't know if he would drink the Kool-Aid or not?
He was asked the question. This gets
he
just dodged it. Yeah, he was like, I don't know if I would have drank the juice, but I don't know if I would have. It's that's what you've been asked. Yeah, that's what you have been asked.
Answer the question.
Answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was taken away.
Would you have drinking the Kool-Aid?
No. I would have.
You think you would have you would rather go out being shot at, trying to escape?
No, what would I be classified? I wouldn't be a child. I wouldn't be an infant.
No.
So definitely
young adult.
Yeah. So I think after the children, it was just anybody.
Yeah.
So
There's no
I
way.
think I would have been able to, look
Scoot
around.
out, yeah.
Obviously follow a few people.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, definitely not.
I wouldn't have drank the Kool-Aid either, but like I would definitely try to escape. I'd rather die trying to escape than like give up my life.
Exactly. You feel like you die with more dignity.
Exactly.
Well, in my case, because some people thought they died with
dignity, like, but they were tricked though.
Yeah.
Because that's not real.
And my parents knew about it.
So did mine. Yeah.
Yeah, they said it was awful. I don't think they were alive though.
Mine were alive.
No, they were, because 70s, wasn't it? But this happened
74.
when did this happen? 74?
76. No, 78. It happened in 78.
78.
Happened in 78.
Yeah, but they were definitely alive. They were young, so they would have found out years later.
My mother was in her young teens, and my dad was. I think he was just about 18. I think he was just about turning.
So he
12.
definitely would have.
And they were talking to me and saying like, you just didn't believe it when it came on. Like almost 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Killed at the same time by one man. Like it's something you hear in a horror story. Like it's something like Dracula would do, causing armies to fight each other.
It's not okay.
Like an American, like and people, you have to forget, America at this time is the undisputed superpower, right? Like undisputed, right? Like they won both World War Wars. Like come on, they did, right? They're fighting the Soviets and went to the moon. Right? Or did they? Check out our Moonspiracy video.
Oh my god.
Okay.
That's true, this video.
Okay. Shameless plugs. Shameless. Right? Absolutely. No regrets. But like, yeah, like they were the undisputed superpower. So like why would they even risk a congressman getting killed? They wouldn't. Like this is the United States of America. This is the most powerful country. And yet some people in a cult in Guyana killed one of your people.
Yeah.
Like, that's disgraceful. So, like, my parents were talking about how cults were on the rise during this time. And, like, they were always saying... They were always kind of suspicious of the People's Temple. But at the same time, they couldn't really do anything.
Yeah, nobody actually does anything. It's like, oh, they're, like, a weird cult.
Yeah, but that's their beliefs. Like, I hate when people do this. Like, if... Like, I know I kind of said it, but, like... I don't like the argument of like free will and like, oh, you free will, you can. No, some things are just wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Like so, like forcing people to stay somewhere because you have their parents or husband hostage and force them to sell their homes. Free will, quote unquote, is wrong.
I definitely think like, because back then they did get away with it, like 100%, and they, like nowadays nobody would fly to another country for a cult.
No.
Well, maybe.
Well, you'd be surprised.
Yeah, I would be surprised. But
I think there's more awareness. But people don't change that much.
I don't think the story's like public enough. I really don't. I went into school. I saw the documentary. Obviously, you did as well.
But it wasn't talked about.
That was last year.
It wasn't talked about though.
But like before that, I knew nothing about it
at all.
You know. I don't know. I suppose it's kind of like...
But, like, we were just shown a documentary saying, okay. But, like, we weren't even talking... Like, there was no open debate. There was no discussion, like...
No, it was literally the teacher pausing the video. Being like, this happened. Yeah, I watched that. Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, like...
You know?
Yeah.
She skipped the good bits
The floor
as
here is
well.
now the floor.
She skipped the good bits.
Of course, because we were, quote-unquote, children.
Doesn't make sense.
You can't see that part, guys.
Yeah. But then COVID hit, and then I wasn't able to finish the documentary. Luckily, I found it.
In YouTube, I mean, you dragged it out of the vault.
That was crazy.
Like, you reached down to the depths of the world to get that.
Yeah.
That was impressive.
Yeah, final thoughts.
Final thoughts is it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy that could have been prevented. It's a tragedy that could have been prevented because people need to know how to spot false prophets, right? If you're speaking from a purely theological point, as soon as people saw him disregarding the Bible and starting to put himself in that position, gone, right? Because there's always the benefit of the doubt if you're staying true to your religious, right? There's always the benefit of the doubt. But even the Bible says, false prophets, beware of them. They're plentiful. Please. This is what happens. Look what happened, right?
I do agree with that because I believe religion had more of an impact on people's lives, livelihood. Like, it was more strict back then. Obviously, older generations follow, lead on to generations, and they would have believed, like some people would have passed away, they would have believed that religion is still going on and it is as strong as ever. You get me? Go on.
Like, even the thing about religion not being as like societally strong is fair. But even with very religious people today, right? You would never see them kind of fall into that trap because we're so educated now, right? We know what we're being taught, right? Like we can read the Bible, we can read our religious texts.
And you should be taught things like this.
Exactly.
To spot kind of the
false prophets.
Yeah, similarities.
The snakes. They're snakes.
Yeah.
They're snakes. They're snakes in the
Because
garden.
I believe all serial killers have most of the same traits.
Most of
All cult leaders, definitely. Like, there's a trend.
Well, humans don't change, right? So, like, similar humans will carry out similar tasks, right? Like, you know, this is why sometimes you see organized crime is so prevalent. Because it's an easy thing to fall into, right? It's easy quote-unquote money. Yeah, you're risking your life, but, like, at the same time, it doesn't take that much, you know, skill, right? Like, especially at the lower levels, right? Don't off me, please. Like, but, like, no. My thing is with Jim Jones is this. Be careful who you put your faith into. Be careful who you put your trust into. Because sooner or later, if you put your trust in the wrong people, if you deify the wrong people, don't deify anyone, but especially if you deify the wrong people, if you make some people into idols, you then lose your sense of identity. And as soon as that happens, you're susceptible to this. You're susceptible to be literally poisoned, telling you it's poison because you think that's the right thing to do. So, yeah, anything else to say? I mean, tragedy.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that.
Rest in peace to all the people who died in People's Temple.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
You know, hopefully their souls are at rest. And, you know, just, guys, when someone tells you to drink Kool-Aid, make sure what's in it. Because a common trend we've seen.
It's sus now.
It's sus now.
Kool-Aid be sus.
I'm surprised that Brad didn't take a hit, but
Yeah.
like doing better than ever apparently.
Yeah, it's a popular drink.
You know, so
No.
guys,
Just stay safe.
stay safe. You know, do your research. Don't put your faith into idols, and you know, just make sure that you are putting your interests, especially health. Like, don't be selfish, but also remember that the individual matters.
You've been listening to
The Raspy Apple Podcast.
Hosted.
I need you to like. I need you to subscribe. I need you to share.
Give them that fun fact, actually.
Okay, fun fact actually, just you know, let you guys know. A rubbish collector in America makes more than a public school teacher.
Mind blown.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I need my bin collector more than the teacher.
I've been Cal.
This is your man Martin,
Yeah.
and we're signing off. We'll
Yeah.
see you guys in the next episode of the Raspy Apple Podcast.
We may make this into a series of cults. Maybe.
That's a good idea.
Maybe.
Tell us what you think in the comments below. Do you want to see more of this? Let us know.
Thanks for listening.
Peace.